These are photos from my album from the years 1957 until we left Cedar Hollow Drive for Frankfurt in 1971. I have obviously many more than these, but I just picked these out at random to kind of give a sampling. This is Bernie and Hazel Ring. They were the godparents of Jerry. They're both dead now. Hazel died in the 90s, but Bernie died in the 60s. His office was adjacent to mine, and we both ate lunch there at our desks every day, basically. I was eating my lunch, and I heard this terrible crash in the office next door where he was at, and so I called out, but he didn't respond, so I went in, and I found him on the floor. He had been going through a filing cabinet and died instantly and fell on the floor and struck his head on the way down, but he didn't bleed. He was already dead before he hit the floor. It was a terrible shock to Hazel. This is that porcelain table that I mentioned earlier that we had a contest with Shirley's mother about. Notice all the trees and everything have been cut, and it's a pretty bare neighborhood. There's Annette having her breakfast. Shirley's workstation. Lucille was like a little mother to all the kids. She was an old woman when she was 6 years old. This is Shirley with the neighborhood women. Most of those worked for GE, and I knew the husbands. This is Shirley pregnant with Julie. It's in Erie with Joe Patetti's daughters, Joe and Marion. Marion was a great friend of Shirley's. Mark, when he was first a Cub Scout, he went on to be an Eagle. This is Jerry. Of course, he's always hungry too. And there he is, sucking his thumb and leaning on me before I went to work. That's at the farm in 1959. The swing that was in the front yard. This is the last time we were in Frenchville before Dad died in 1960. And that's my 59 Ford that only had 2-speed transmission. This Rain Mill in Erie when we were visiting. That's my PE license. I worked awfully hard for that one. See the air conditioner on the wall behind my head there. That's the fireplace I rebuilt. You notice I used regular bricks instead of the Roman length that they had originally. Lucille's first communion. That's Jerry and Julie there. My dad was smoking a cigar there. It's one of the last ones he ever smoked. He was paralyzed there. He couldn't walk out there. That's Jerry maltreating our pets. Oh boy. That's Julie doing the same thing, only not quite as brutal as Jerry. That's my mother on the right. That's Stacia Hamspaw there in Erie. That house in the background on the right is my landlord's house, and that's where he moved his Christmas tree to, as I recorded in an earlier video. A homemade swing there. See the air conditioner in the wall there? I moved it from the window into the wall. It's my bride with her brood. She really loves all of you kids. That's Father Volpert. He used to come around once in a while, and he was really a nice guy. That's my bride again with me. She was a great woman. That's the farm and the hill leading south toward the Washies. There she is again. You don't know who that is. In trouble. There's the brute. Lucille with one of her kids, and there's Lucille again. They were part of she and Marilyn and were part of a play there, I guess, as I recall. I'm not sure. That's Lucille's first day at school. That's Ray. That's the last time he hunted there in Pennsylvania. That's Uncle Charlie and Aunt Annie in Trenchville with me. Notice the hats on all the women there. That was the thing to do. It's Marilyn on my shoulders. There she is again, laying in the bed. That's my workbench and shop on Michael Edward. These were two French students visiting, and they found out I could speak French, and they came out to visit us. This is on our trip out west, on our first stop. We made it for lunch. There's Lucille. She was really following our path, and there's the end of the Western Parkway at Princeton in 1964. That's Shirley was driving, and she pulled off onto the old road there. Lucille had a problem with her bladder. She had to go to the bathroom all the time, and we stopped there, and she climbed over the fence to do it. And we went to Dallas, Texas, and looked at the place where Kennedy had been murdered the year before. you've never been there, you need to go. These pictures don't begin to do justice to it. We camped out there at the Grand Canyon, and that's my mother sitting at the table. That August 5th was our wedding anniversary, Shirley and I, and that's my mother with me there. These Indians lived at the top of that butte there, and we climbed up to it, and this is the village. Mark and Lucille with a couple of the Indians there. That's an incredible place there. These trees are unbelievable. They're thousands of years old. They were living before Christ was born. We were waiting at the top of Taiho Pass because they had a gate there and they only opened it during the day. And we were one of their first cars that they permitted to go down that mountain. It was a real shortcut to Las Vegas. And so we took it. But it was really steep, and of course Mom and Shirley and Lucille all crouched down inside the car. They couldn't look out the window while I drove down. But I drove down in low gear the whole way. It was several miles. That's a church that Barry Goldwater permitted. He wasn't a Catholic, but he permitted that in Sedona, Arizona. Lucille with her cowboy hat. Shirley was pregnant with John during this time. Spectacular scenery there in the country. Kind of have to look twice to see what's in this picture, but that's my 61 car and the trailer that we had. This was in Erie. Shirley took the kids up on the train before we left, and then she came back and we left from Louisville on a trip, and then we came back through Erie and picked up the other kids. This is a picture of the stump fence along the edge of the farm. These stumps were original virgin growth and were cut down shortly after their arrival in 1835 by my grandfather and great-grandfather, and uprooted out of the ground and dragged to the edge of the field to form fencing. These had to be manually dug out of the ground. These huge trees were deeply rooted and very close together, and I just can't visualize the effort and trouble that those stumps caused. But they eventually cleared about 300 acres of these monstrous trees. My brother Bill is the one with the glasses in this photo. Lee in Station Amspaw. I'd forgotten how big Lee was. He was taller than I am, and heavier too. This fellow in the front retired, and this is a picture taken at the shop. Shirley had her hair dyed with light-colored streaks there, and it was kind of a fad there for a while. So you see light-colored streaks on top of her head there and so forth. She looked a little different and a little cute. I always like this picture here. I think it's really And this one too. And this one. Look at his haircut there, hair comb. They caught a mouse and the center of a trench in there for a while. Another picture of Am's house. This was the house directly across the lane from us. There was a nice zoo there. They had a lot of animals that the kids could interact with. That's Lucille at the May Day procession. So Easter Sunday, 1965. Everybody's really dressed up. Mark's black eye. I don't remember how he got that. That's Ray Green Jr. expounding on something there in a white t-shirt. This is where Shirley lived when I first met her. They built the other house there that was shown shortly after that. This is a trip Mark and I took down to Gethsemane and elsewhere with the Scouts one day. Here's my 61 Falcon. This is over in Cedar Hollow Drive, the lot that we bought, and the church is right behind there. It's Jerry riding on the boat. They were digging the basement. Basement walls. I had the garage extended 4 more feet in width in order to accommodate the 10 or 11 bicycles that we had, and of course the 2 cars. Shortly after we moved in, Marilyn was walking in the ditch. The streets weren't paved, and there was a piece of sharp ceramic drain tile in the water that she was wading through, and she cut the top of her foot and cut the tendon. So I had to take her to the hospital, and they operated on her foot and sewed the tendon back together. She was recuperating then. It's one of the big rare snows we had here in Louisville. Lucille there marching in the May Parade. And behind her was Father Emmerich, who left the priesthood after 25 years and married his longtime mistress. He had a kid by that mistress too. Heartbreaking scandal, because I never dreamed he'd do that. This is at the farm. This is the lake in Erie. The water is so cold, it's hard to enjoy it. Another picture of my bride with her brood in our new house. Another brutal child. That was Hazel and some of her friends, and they came to visit us. They're standing on the bottom side of an ancient stump great-grandfather and grandfather pulled out and lined the fields with. They're just doing a little maintenance work there. This is the inside of my office at GE. I was the manager there at the plastics and paint. My bride and I, she worked hard to keep her shape and keep in good physical condition. This is at the viaduct, so-called, back in Pennsylvania in the mountains over the Susquehanna River in front of St. Bernard. She was happy being a mother. It's my office at GE, the first office. There was a big water line underneath the floor and it burst and heaved the floor up and so they had to tear down the office and break up that floor to repair it, and so they built me a new one on the outside of the building, and it was much nicer and better equipped. This is Julie in the May Day Parade, one of the nuns there. This is Mark looking at the stripping operation there in Frenchville. You can see how they destroyed the countryside with those strip mines. This is Gettysburg. We went down there one time to look at the battlefield. This is one of the last strips we made to Erie with Ray being alive. He was kind of a sentimental guy, and he really teared up when we left. Another one in front of St. Bernard's. This is Clarence and Mary Road. They were our neighbors and good friends. Really great people. They had a big family too. There's a pair. Shirley's holding Tom. That's Ruth and Reuben and Uncle Jerry, along with Ray and Mill. There's Julie showing off. It's me giving your mother a big smooch. There she is again. Look how nice and slim she is after 8 kids. There's a bottomless pit I'm trying to fill. There's Mark, the Eagle badge. That's a big accomplishment. Took a lot of work. That's Shirley. She wasn't feeling well in that time. She lost a lot of weight. This is the whole crew helping me build the patio behind our house on Cedar Hollow Drive. It turned out pretty well. My kids and the neighbors' kids having fun in the stream behind our house. That's neighbor boy, Paul. His mother left him run around in their stocking feet all the time. They were great friends. They're both dead now too. And he riding the boys around in a bicycle. That's Mark receiving his Eagle badge at the ceremony there. Big event in scouting. That's a little haircut I gave the kid. Looks pretty cool, doesn't he? I always cut their hair. I'm not sure I always got approval though. Well, I'm sure I didn't get approval from my bride, but it saved quite a bit of money. There's Ray and Mill and the whole tribe. Ray and Mill changed after we moved. We became friends. Another snow picture in our backyard. Our house is directly behind those trees. We had 4 nice big cedar trees there. I remember that day there in the snow. We had a good time. That's my bride with a dress that she only wore once. She didn't like it, and I didn't really think that much of it either, but okay. That's the cemetery at Frenchville. We just grandfather. He was born in 1835. The trip Shirley and I took down in the eastern Kentucky, and this place where we stayed. It's the first nice piece of woodwork I did. That's Shirley in Florida one time we were down there. Shirley and her father. He was not well then. Uh, the kids are burying me in the sand there in Erie. Station Amsball and Lee came down to visit us one time. Lee wasn't feeling well there either. That's Uncle Jerry on a visit he made one time with his BMW. Woods at the camp one time. That's me painting the house and Shirley holding the ladder for somebody. That's an outing at Cumberland Lake. She really looked nice there. This is the ma'am at Christmas. There's Shirley again in the Smokies. We had a good trip. We spent 4 or 5 days just driving around. It's a gun case I made out of 150-year-old walnut that I bought. There's Uncle Lawrence and Aunt Bess in Orlando. There's the whole tribe. That's a farm back in Frenchville. In 1970, that's all grown up now in pine trees. That's my bride and I in Florida, enjoying the nice weather. Yeah, it's a thing I made. On the lathe. It's We rented a U-Haul trailer after my mother died, and we brought back some stuff. And this is my sister and her husband Jack, and their boy in the middle there. My new Mustang, 1970. That's Shirley's mother. Visit down here. It's a big snowstorm we had at Cedar Hollow Drive. Actually, ice storm more than snow. Yeah, I'm doing a little repair there from a car that impacted the trim on the side of the door there. That's Hazel Ring and Millie Green with our kids. Couple of 3 deadheads there. Shirley watching Tom in the new Mustang. That's Aunt Bess and Shirley in Florida. That's another trip in Erie and the lake. That's Tom and I next to my grandfather clock that I made. Jerry has that clock now. That's in Florida on a trip we made down in my Mustang. That's Shirley and Aunt Bess in Orlando. That's in Florida where we stayed overnight one time. That's Aunt Bess down there in front of one of their orange trees in Orlando. Gosh, 52 years ago. Well, that's all of them for this period of time that I've selected. That's not all the photos I have, obviously, but I thought I'd pick out a representative of what I have. I think now we'll return to the narrative of the following sequence of events and stop this one here.